Alright, making a dungeon tier list for the new update. Some fruits, some mechanical updates have changed a little bit how the fruits are in terms of farmability. Most of them are relatively the same though, and then two new fruits that are worth talking about anyway. The two normal commons are on this tier list, nor are they. I don't even know. Like spin is definitely D, and then kilo might have some. I don't know. Well, you'd go. I don't know how long the flight lasts, but I doubt it's anything above a C. So, now we're talking about. I'm just gonna go through some of the ones in order, but yeah. So I'll start with Bari. So Bari, after update 3 nerf, 3.5 nerf when they can't do the barrier thing anymore. They're kind of trash in teams anyway. So I will be rating it's team and solos mainly with two people. The barrier's nice, I guess, but relatively it's kind of trash after that. But the barrier's okay. If you make a barrier build, I probably better now since you can get more health, but I doubt it's that much, very much better. Bomb S tier. If you play dungeons for any amount of time, you should know that this is probably the best dungeon fruit in the game, just because it one-shots bosses. Also, there's a solo method. It's not the safest, but it's consistent if you're good with it. Oh, you know what though? It might be slightly worse. I don't know how the new in this update, in the middle of the start of the update, phoeyu added a jump limit, a GPO limit. So making it so you can only do 5 jumps in the air before you have to hit the ground. So I don't know how that affects the solo method. Maybe makes it more consistent. Hopefully they make it so dungeons don't get affected by these changes because it was meant for PvP. And it ruins a lot of fruits. Like that doesn't ruin a lot of fruits, but it makes a lot of fruits more difficult to farm with. It's really annoying because half the time it's like even if you land for a little bit, you have to wait the 5 seconds. And then you can GPO. So if you land before you use the I think it's the 5 GPOs that you need to use, you still get forced to the cooldown, and it affects dungeons and PvP. It's really annoying. I want them to revert this for dungeons specifically, because this update makes 2 features got added to make that, including the CPU, what's it called, AI, making them able to block prematurely, and it's really annoying because it slows down your runs. But yeah, this bomb is still the best because you just bomb bosses, and if you're in a group, you literally just ignore bosses and you just kind of play the game. Even then, I don't know how good the solo method is now. I could attempt it, but maybe in post I'll figure it out. I'll add something in to see if anything got changed, or if I can do it more consistently or inconsistently, but I'll see. Next is Mara, S. So, for soloing, it's pretty decent, pretty good. I don't think it's the best for soloing, but it's one of the best. Might be the best, I don't know. In groups, though, any future fruits that have a flight and an AoE move are dumb. They're broken. They're in a group with more than one other person. If you combo anything with bomb, so if it's 2 people, one of them is bomb. That's what I care more about, because it's easily done. You can do it with ult, you can do it with your friend if you have bomb and they have one of these fruits. Literally, and especially now with the new GPO changes, the GPO changes make it so it's even harder to be able to just solo things, because you're forced to get on the floor if you don't have like something like a flight move. So Mara and Nusuna are very good because of that. So you can just fly. The bomb player can just Hiken or not Tekai, and then you Hiken the remaining players. And because you're not doing a move in the air, they don't block, and so they run at you. So you can't, like, it's like we'll talk about Pika later. If you hold a move, they'll just start blocking. It'll slow your run down. They'll all start walking slowly towards you. So you'll have to acclimate to that. It's really annoying. These force it so they don't force a block, so your dungeon runs become very smooth. Next is Goro. It gets just as good as it was last update. I don't think it's an S tier though. mainly because of the lack of mobility and Gabbo getting nerfed. Phew, that hurts. That really hurts. But you can in a group, it's pretty good. In solo, it's not good at all. I think it's probably terrible. You could do worse. Because in early rounds it's fine, but later rounds when you start getting care about users, ugh, it's you're just kind of you're done. It's pretty good though. Overall, I still think it's pretty good. I don't know, it could be worse. Now, I haven't tested it very much, Gomu. I haven't tested it at all, but from the looks of it, it's all it has is a barrage and a snipe. I don't see how this is even gonna be remotely useful. You're just gonna get murdered. Maybe ball does a little something. I don't even know what it could possibly do. Trash has to be trash. I don't see how it could be good. You could argue that this is an A. I could also argue it's an A. You know what? New update might make this an A. I don't know. The ult broken, but the cooldown is very, very long, so you can't really rely on it. It's very good though, because well, I think it's better than Goro at least. But I'll tier the S later. But for this, all you really have is shock punch and the giant move, the giant shatter move. I had that. I had this for, and I can't remember the name. But it's other than that, like you have a counter and like a counter and a grab, which aren't very useful for dungeons. I mean, I guess against bosses is probably decent, but as soon as you hit the 2 bosses, go look at them. You're over reliant on your ult, and it's way too slow for that case. But I mean, if you want, you could do it. I don't know. The Geppo nerf really hurts this, but other than that, you could tell me it's an S, and I'd be okay with it. But I think it's an A higher. Better than Goro though. EA, trash. It's really bad. It doesn't really have any utility. Mobility is trash. AoEs are bad. It has a single AoE that's okay. And its damage output is abysmal. So it's not good at all. Marrow, basically the same thing. Terrible damage, terrible mobility. One AoE. It's not good. Magu, I would have argued S. Actually, in a group, because this in a group, I should have mentioned this, but this in a group is pretty good because you don't have to rely on yourself, so it's pretty alright. With this though, I think it is better. It might be better because with your you can stick in the air and do a actually. With the new update, it makes this fruit a lot worse because you're forced to hold a move. With this, you're also forced to use hold a move. That's why I don't think it's an S tier anymore. Or yeah, even an S tier to begin with. But same with this move. You Hound, or especially since Hound doesn't block break, or is it? I don't know. Magma. It was either the punch or the Hound. Got reverted their block break. It doesn't have any mobility. If you hold a move, again, the M pieces are gonna block, so it's really annoying. I hope they revert this change, but if they do, a lot of this will probably be shaken up. But because of the fact that your only other move is like rain, because you're not using ground pound, you're not using the what? I think that's it, right? Yeah. You don't have many options, so again. Guess here, just because I think the ult is just significantly better. The ult block breaks. I mean, it just destroyed everything. These are nearly identical. It's better over like in the normal rounds, but if like soloing with this, good luck, man. I don't understand how you're gonna do any of it. Solo methods have been severely hampered because of this update. Like, I don't understand how you're supposed to sit there and hold a Geppo, because you can't hold a Geppo. And if you hold a move, you can't. You're just gonna start blocking, and they're gonna be really slow. And eventually you have to release the move. So it's like fruits have been absolutely destroyed because of this update. You could argue that everything is honestly in this tier is B, and then everything in S is deservedly S. But yeah, actually, because yeah, I think this is probably what I should do, because I think the next fruit kind of like does. You can argue it's an S, but Pika with the new update, it got smoked. It got really, it hurts. Again, it doesn't suffer from the Geppo problem too much because it has flight, but it still suffers from it. It's really annoying. And also, what's it called? You have to hold a move to stand near because you can't get all the time. And it's gonna cause you to your enemies to be really slow. So soloing, this used to be probably the best soloer because you can cheese a lot of things, a lot of moves in the Skypia map. But now, you could still do solo at Skypia relatively easily, but it's gonna be significantly slower. You can argue because it can solo still on like these fruits, which good luck soloing with these fruits. I don't know how you're gonna do it. And it has a flight. You can argue this is an S, but I'm gonna argue it's an A just because in a group, in a solo, it's gonna struggle a lot harder than these two. Which but these two are these make them look like a joke because these are a lot better. Because this is on these would have been like flip flop, but now because of the block change, making the enemies not run to you. You have to just sit there and hold the flight, and then he can. With this, you just kind of have to corner camp. You have to corner camp, and then you're gonna have to do a light kick. Otherwise, you're kind of just stuck. I don't know. It's not nearly as good as it was last update. It's really annoying. These changes are severely annoying. These would go up each one if the changes were reverted, but yeah, it's like really obnoxious. At minimum, it's definitely better than these. Suna, and this is the main reason I want to make this video because Suna's ridiculous. It's just diet. It's diet Mara. I can't argue that it's here. I think the main issue with it is cheesing on Skypia with this thing. It doesn't really have a great move to cheese bosses. It has flight, so you smack the hell out of PA users. Mara users can smack you up pretty decently. There's not really an amazing move for soloing bosses with this thing. You can do it, but it's not like super easy. Especially but the good thing is that the bosses got slightly nerfed, so it's relatively not nearly as difficult as it would be. But it's you can solo with it. It's not amazing. It's not well, I don't think really anything is amazing for soloing, but it's in this tier worth of soloing. It's pretty good. And then with a bomb user attached, it's basically just a light a diet version of Mara. You hold flight, which is amazing. The fact that it has it, thank God. Oh my God, this fruit would be significantly worse without it. So you hold flight and then you do what's it called? I think it's the storm. So you place the storm down and you smoke a bunch of the enemies. Only kind of issue is that you have a good chance of missing it if you're too high up, or you just kind of whiff it if you aim above the opponent. It's better if you just place it and then place it in front of them and steer yourself towards it, so you don't accidentally miss it, because the cooldown on the storm is extremely long. Also, if you for some reason mess up and you want to get through with it, a spot is an amazing ult. Just send it down, you crash and you kill everything. Like something like this, it's really hard to hit with your ult, but it doesn't really matter because you just can kill them. So these two fruits just fly. You don't cause the block the CPU dot block to block. And you just kind of smack them up with a single move and move on to every round. Also, I think range Fireflies is a better than this, because all you have is a. I think I said that the ult is a spot. I don't remember what it was. It was the rail, whatever. I think it's railgun. That's the move that caves to the floor. I'm gonna have footage in the background, hopefully. That's what I'm talking about. But overall, these two kind of have a similar game plan. This is significantly more consistent and faster overall, because you don't have to get out the air at all. But this, you'll probably have to get out the air every single round to clean up, because all your moves are ground based except for a single one. Yeah, I think this is these are just kind of like the top 3 fruits in the game. And then we go to Suke. So with Tori, I think it's very, very, very underrated. I think the biggest issue is the damage, but for general mobs, killing mobs, it's pretty good because again, it does the same thing that Suna, that Mara do, and you just flight, which is I think is especially more than ever is an amazing ability. I feel like most people really underrated this beforehand, and I could see an argument for it being like a beforehand, but I think in the current update, just because blocks from NPCs are just forced if you hold a move, it's kind of it's kind of on these levels of these two. I think for bosses this is just better overall because it just has more moves, more damage, more long range moves. This has like 2 moves in the this thing has 2 moves within the form, and they're very weakly. This is the ult and the burst. I wish it had a 3rd move of some kind, because like that wasn't ult, because this thing is just lacking damage. If it had the damage, you could argue that it's better than this. Well, actually I don't know, because for bosses again. But if the damage was better and the moves, because burst does hit on the Skypian, doesn't really have a big amazing AoE for bosses. But for general CPUs, I think this is like the next best thing. If you for some reason have this but don't have these, I guess yeah. Honestly, Tori's cool as well. So I don't know. Tori's probably this good. Just because again, pretty solid against these. Yeah, so Tori up in S, very underrated. Can solo just because again, flight is very valuable. And yeah, now moving on to Zushi. So the main issue with Zushi, it has a single move. And I haven't really talked about like every other map other than Skype yet, because I think that's obviously for most players it's probably gonna be the best one to have. But it's actually pretty decent. It's not the best, honestly. Like in a group, it's terrible. Not terrible, but it's not nearly as good. In solos though, honestly pretty decent in comparison to like most other fruits. Just because again, flight is so valuable in this update. These fruits have been hampered so heavily because of the fact that they do not have a flight move, leading to your very slow runs if you're doing it solo or with just another user. In bigger groups, of course, like just like most of these fruits are just fine, like in a group. But with like just us like 2 people, like a bomb, because again, most the mindset that I have with everything on the tier list is being paired with a bomb. If you're not soloing, so in that respect, if you have just like any other of these fruits with a bomb, you're beforehand you were better off, but because of the block update, it's just better than all these fruits. The damage is still low, and you can't really you only have a single meteor strike, which is a very big cooldown. It's very annoying, and you need to invest in the damage of it, and not get Coliseum because you're just gonna hit the walls. So it's very annoying kind of to use, but it's significantly better than like any of these nowadays, just because of this update. So I'm gonna organize these, and then I'll come back to one of them. Okay, so this is the general order. I didn't switch up too much. The bottom tier I didn't order because they're all just not worth using ever. You can honestly just put this in day, but who cares? It has more usability than these two. And B, Goro was arguably S in a group back, but now with soloing, it's a lot better. It's like just honestly at peak level. You can argue you can also argue it's up here. I wouldn't blame you. I still don't. I just, because of the lack of mobility, I think it's just in here with the rest of these. I'll go pretty good. Gura, just because of the ult and the shock punch. But again, these I would not recommend these for dungeons, especially solo. Soloing with these, you're out of luck, honestly. You could do it, but again, it's gonna be insanely slow. You're just better off eating a bomb at that point. And A, this is because of the new changes. Made it went from like here relatively like these would have been above it to just being up here. The damage is amazing. You have a single move that does the AoE. I mean, same with Suna, but the damage on this is also really bad. But in a singles in a solo situation, because of the fight, it's just better. Than a lot of these, especially Pika. I still argue Pika's still pretty good just because you can solo with it. It's just relatively slow. With these, you're gonna have a hard time soloing and not dying to random NPCs. With this, the chances of you dying to random NPC not that high. But you can. You know, safety is valued more in these types of things than it is speed. Well, speed is very valuable because you're just gonna waste your time even if your run isn't safe. So yeah, and then S, just because of the changes. Again, I'm gonna go back to Zushi. You could pump this to S if you want. But if you get hit by a rocket, I forgot to mention. But if you get hit by a rocket, your run is done. It's over. This thing, if you get hit off your flying, you'll die. So that's why I don't have it in S. And honestly, you could put B if you want. I don't have an issue with that. But yeah, I think it's better than Pika in these three just because of the block mechanic, making it really annoying. I know I sound like a broken record, but that is these two changes, the block and the Geppo nerf are just huge to the meta of this of dungeons. It's really annoying. A lot of these old fruits, they're really just, you have to use a group for them instead of you soloing with them or just pairing yourself with a bomb. Because again, the main method I use is just a bomb and another fruit, because I mean anyone can do that if you have a second account or a friend with bomb. So yeah, and then with moving on to S tier, Tori. Again, went over the same points. Just amazing. Better than it was, significantly better because you could have put it here-ish with him, but you know, because of it, the buffs, not because I don't want to say the buffs, but because of the changes to dungeons, it's just significantly better being able to just stay in the sky and you can't get knocked off of the form or nothing. Again, the only reason this is not S is just because you could get rocket launched and your run is over. This better than this, obviously, because your flight move is just better, your damage is better, your against bosses is better. In a with a bomb pair, it's relatively the same. I wouldn't say it's that big of a change. And this is a lot easier to hit than this. You're gonna miss the storm relatively, but in more situations, this is just gonna be a lot better. And with a group of people, again, this is kind of useless in a group of people. With a group of people, you're set with this. But yeah, with just a pairing of a bomb, better than this, and also in solo is better than this. So just overall, I think this is better. And then Mara is definitely the best dungeon for. I don't think anything. I don't want to say anything comes close. These come decently close, but it's above the rest. But I don't say S plus tier, but just S overall. Just being able to stay in the sky and with flight, and then just everything is dead. You can fireflies and stay in the mode if you have enough stamina, so you don't have to get out of it. With like this and this, you probably just have to get out the mode eventually. I mean, you have to regardless because you'll have a glitch happen to you with it. But yeah, you just stay in the air, you're done, you're good. Probably best dungeon fruit that isn't bomb, and then bomb, self-explanatory. I'll go check out if the solo method got damaged. If the solo method did get damaged, you'll probably move this. Actually, no, you still wouldn't do it because again, with another person, you win the run. This alone just wins you the run. Even if the other player, you're just paired up with any of these can get it done. If you're paired up with this, it becomes significantly faster the more you go up. But with this pairs him, so the run is just smooth. If your teammate messes up, you can still rely on this soloing the rest of the run or the rest of the round. And again, blowing up bosses, it's broken. There's just nothing. There's not much to it. It's the best in terms of dungeons. So yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you have your own tier list, kind of tell me in the comments, I guess. Or if you disagree with some things, tell me why. Or if you agree, I guess tell me. I don't know. But yeah, thank you for watching, and see you.